you are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. I welcome all of you, the whole world, to come and celebrate, enjoy not only the enlightenment ecosystem, the beauty of how it is getting revived. Be an insider for this great revival process. If you are an insider even for a startup company, you will understand not only the result of the company, even that being an insider is such a joy. Being an insider when it was happening is something extraordinary. So, I welcome all of you to come and be part of an insider of this revival of Kailasa, the enlightenment ecosystem, sovereign order of Kailasa, Kailasa nation itself. I request and welcome, invite all of you to become e-Kailasian. Get your free e-passport and make billions receive this free e-passport. What I mean by the word e-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is e-Kailasa. Kailasa is the totality of the knowledge I received from my gurus and practice manifested in my life, perfected by teaching millions of people from all cultures, time zones, backgrounds, genders, nationality, race, from every creed. So this absolutely perfected knowledge available to you, served to you in your home without even you moving out of your couch, free of cost.
Modern science says that all that exists, whether manifest or unmanifest, is a probability. Infinite probabilities create a quantum field of infinite potential. An observer collapses the probability wave into a particle. Your intention thus creates the reality. Called the observer effect, it is the very act of observation that precipitates any reality into existence. Hinduism is far advanced than this primitive understanding in the modern day. Hindus know this field of infinite potential as Paramashiva. Paramashiva permeates everything, manifest and unmanifest. He is intelligent, compassionate, and a myriad other auspicious qualities. Our scriptures provide detailed descriptions of how to invoke His presence on the earthly plane, the visualizations that manifest Him, the mantras, sounds that invoke Him, how He looks, His various dimensions, the actions that please Him and have His blessings rain on you, the times in the past when He has manifested for us and led us through a breakthrough. Hinduism knows the art of communing with Paramashiva to manifest any reality we want. And when our effort and all the knowledge isn't enough, He Himself incarnates in human body to show us how, to liberate us, to show us where we are stuck, to take us to oneness. Pratyaksha Pada Puja to His Divine Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda, Paramashiva incarnate. Sit at His sacred feet. Let Him awaken you to your field of infinite possibilities, to your oneness with Him. Register now. Pratyaksha Pada Puja.
KAILASA is proper customized spiritual service helping you to identify your root patterns of suffering. We have perfected the science of helping every individual from every cultural, religious, nationality background. You will have lowest reactionary assumptions, highest awakened response, alive response for life continuously.
Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavadhitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nityanandam, we welcome each and every one of you joining with us, sitting with us, watching Nithyananda TV, Kailasa's official TV channel. Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagatguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, is the reviver of Kailasa, the enlightened civilization, the greatest and only Hindu nation. Adepts of the science of reincarnation in Hinduism recognized Swamiji as the avatar of Paramashiva at a very tender age. Revered and worshipped now as the living incarnation of superconsciousness by millions, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism manifested the best contributions of Hinduism to the world, including the science of power manifestation, yoga, and temple-based universities. Kailasa nation. Kailasa is a microcosmic, ancient, enlightened Hindu civilization nation, which does not put importance on territory alone. Kailasa is revived by the present day living incarnation of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagatguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Vivekananda visualized it, Yogananda yearned for it, Aurobindo accelerated it, Osho worked for it, and Maharishi Mahesh Yogi had mandated it. And due to the sincere efforts and hard work for the last 200 years, with all their blessings, Swamiji has manifested the Kailasa nation. Kailasa's supreme aim is to serve the religious and spiritual needs of 2 billion Hindus and the whole of humanity. Therefore, Kailasa is a consortium of multiple micronations, educational institutions, including Hindu universities, schools, the Gurukuls, de facto spiritual embassies, temples, temple monastery complexes, nunneries, food banks, the Annamandirs, animal shelters, Goshala, libraries, Jnanalaya, organic agriculture, and more. So, why is the revival of the Kailasa nation needed? It's this today's discussion is going to be about the abuse which is happening to other people who we share this planet with, not just about humans. Dog fighting, cockfighting, and other forms of organized animal cruelty go hand in hand with other crimes and continues in many areas of the United States due to public corruption. Every day, countless cats, dogs, and other animals suffer and die at the hands of the very people who are supposed to care for and protect them. Physical violence, emotional abuse, and life threatening neglect are daily realities for many animals. Cows in the dairy industry suffer their entire lives from the moment they enter this world. They are treated like commodity. Special bonds are routinely broken, and cows often develop painful medical conditions. So, here we have a few facts given about the cruelty, the violence, the abuse which is happening not just to other people, other human beings, but the abuse which is happening to animals and the species with which we share this planet with. Unfortunately, this is a very overlooked thing which is happening. People are, when it comes to abuse which is happening to other humans, abuse which is happening to the society, and all this is at least taken into consideration by some people. But this kind of abuse which is happening to the animals, to domestic animals especially, is highly overlooked, and in many places there are not even laws to protect them. Though, like as we'll see further in today's presentation, though there are laws which ban cockfighting and laws which ban dog fighting and so on, in many of the police stations within the US, they have the cockfighting and all these other violent fighting rings among the animals. So this is such a very big overlooked abuse scenario which is going on in the whole world, and unfortunately there's no one to speak out for them, no one to speak out for the animals which are being abused, no one to take their side, no one to protect them. When it comes to humans, there are so many bodies, so many NGOs, so many foundations, and so many projects, so many things which go on for the sake of protecting them and for giving them legitimacy, for giving them freedom. Unfortunately, animals, no one is there who can communicate with them, who understand their space. No one is speaking out for the crimes which is happening against them. And today's Vakya Satas today, importance of why Kailasa Nation is needed is based upon this segment. Moving on. The overlooked abuse, organized cruelty. Dogfighting, cockfighting, and other forms of organized animal cruelty go hand in hand with other crimes and continues in many areas of the United States due to public corruption. As we've shared previously, it is not just it is dog fighting and cockfighting. These are organized forms of animal cruelty, but these just don't stop with animals as well. Some people may think, okay, it's just they're fighting amongst animals. How does that have to affect us? Why should I be bothered by it? You'll be extremely surprised why humans should be bothered about the people who are conducting animal abuse. They are in threat as well. When it comes to abusing a person, it is not just about whether you abuse animals or whether you are abusing some of the species. It's the context, and it is the space from which abusal happens. Today it is you're abusing the animals, you're abusing the dog, you're abusing the cat. Tomorrow it will be the spouse and it will be your child. And this is not something which we are speaking from a very generic, from a very how to say this, from a place where like giving hypothetical scenarios. These are things which research has conducted and has proven that violence doesn't stop with violence against animals, but it continues into violence in your personal life and the relationships with which you carry in and around you. The HSUS documented uniformed police officers at a cockfighting pit in Kentucky. The US Drug Enforcement Agency has prosecuted multiple cases where drug cartels were running narcotics through cockfighting and dogfighting operations. Dozens of homicides have occurred at cockfights and dogfights. A Californian man was killed in a disagreement about a $10 cockfight bet. So, as you can see here, it is not just necessary that the crimes which are which are conducted against animals are restricted to animals. It starts with animals, but it continues and affects humans as well. Has even gone to many cases of where humans themselves have been killed in relation or in some sense in accordance to the cockfighting and to all this organized cruelty which is happening to animals. So this is actually a very sad state. Humans are not only destroying themselves and polluting the world in which we're living in, we are being a harm to other species as well, other species to whom we share this planet with. And this is a very sad thing, and unfortunately there is no one speaking out for this, at least when it comes to other issues which humanity is facing, whether gender equality rights or so on. People have a voice, and that voice people understand. Unfortunately, though animals they have their own voice, there is no human who understands that, and because of it, they are extremely overlooked. People do not even cognize the amount of to which level of depth the cruelty is happening to them. And it is because of that, it is all the more important that we should give importance to why we need to protect animals, why we need to protect their rights and keep them in a good space and have them. It's our job to protect them, even though are not necessary, may not need to contribute to the living. We have no right to harm them. We have absolutely no right to harm them. Forget about harming ourselves. We have no right to harm another being, another species with whom they have equal rights to share this planet with us. Moving on. Data on domestic violence and child abuse case reveal that a staggering number of animals are targeted by those who abuse their children or spouses. There are approximately 70 million pet dogs and 74.1 million pet cats animals why we need in the US, where 20 men and women are assaulted per minute. In one survey, 71% of domestic violence victims reported that their abuser also targeted pets. In one study of families under investigation for suspected child abuse, researchers found that pet abuse had occurred in 88% of the families under supervision for physical abuse of their children. As we had previously shared, it doesn't just stop with abusing the animals alone. It may start there, but it ends up with abusing the spouse, or abusing the children, or abusing anyone else in your life, anyone else in your relation. So it is very important to see that just for those people who might be feeling okay, they're abusing animals, what does this have to do with me? It starts with animals, but it very much continues to humans and the rest of us as well. So abuse in any form, be it animals, be it humans, be it to the environment, to the plants, and to the agriculture, abuse as abuse. And though it may start with one thing, it'll continue and it'll end up with everything else. It's like how Swamiji used to share in the satsang. It is not about whether that guru is being targeted and being abused by the media, or some other guru is being targeted or abused by the media. One day, today it is going to be them, tomorrow it's going to be you. It doesn't, it's about abusing. They don't care who they're abusing. They have so much of violence, so much of vengeance inside of them, that they will go all out and they will abuse anyone that comes in their way. So because maybe pets were more easier to them, they have more dominance over pets, they had started with the pets. But that just is like adding more and more fuel to the fire, for one day it will start with them, but it'll end with something else, something very much more disastrous, which we'll be seeing in our further slides. Moving on. Hoarding behavior often victimizes animals. So this is a different type of cruelty which has been happening regularly and which has been happening for quite some time in the world. Hoarding behavior often victimizes animals. Suffering of a hoarding disorder may impose severe neglect on animal or housing far more than they are able to adequately take care of. Serious animal neglect, such as hoarding, is often an indicator of people in need of social or mental health services. So, this article is trying to convey that people who are sometimes unable to deal with themselves or need psychological help, need spiritual and emotional help. They are the ones who are often found who hoard animals, and unfortunately, because of their inability to relate with human life, their inability of relating with the real person, they try to get their fulfillment, their emotional fulfillment, and their psychological fulfillment by hoarding and keeping a lot of animals and victimizing them, keeping them under his control. So this is also another sick and very unfortunate situation, but this isn't all theoretical things which we are mentioning. These are all actually happening on the planet. In many places around the world, this is something which is going on, and unfortunately they have no one to speak up for them. They have no voice. They have a voice. Unfortunately, humans have become too thick to understand the need and the importance of their feelings, and to understand their important needs of survival as well. Moving on. Animal hoarders are not merely people who have a few too many animals. They are individuals whose mental illness or compulsion can cause criminal behavior with horrific consequences for animals, the hoarders' families, and their communities. Hoarders exist in virtually every community and include members of every socio-economical status, gender, and educational level. An increasing common and disturbing trend involves hoarders who operate under the disguise of being shelters or rescues. Hundreds of sick, starved, wounded, dying, and dead animals have been found in raids of such institutional hoarding facilities. So, this is again a very, very sad state of affairs which is taking place around the world, where people, under the disguise of rescue operations or being animal shelters, they are starving and they are like they're trying to find some sense of dominance over animals, and unfortunately it is not the fault of the animals, or it's not even their own fault. It is just they do not have the correct knowledge and the correct space of how they should uh, pull themselves up by themselves, without the correct spiritual understanding, without the correct powerful cognition and powerfulness in their inner space. This is the unfortunate situation where finally the animals are the ones who are being who are facing the rear end of this whole scenario, and they're the ones who are getting hit the most, unfortunately, without any power and any control over their own lives. Hoarding, it doesn't just stop with animals. As we were sharing much earlier, it starts with animals, but it doesn't stop there. People who abuse animals are cowardly. They take the issues out of the most defenseless victims available, and the cruelty often crosses species lines. Research in psychology and criminology show that animal abusers tend to repeat their crimes as well as commit similar offenses against members of their own species. This phenomenon is known to law enforcement and humane professionals as the link. So, reiterating what they're saying in the article here, as we have shared previously as well, it starts with animals, but it is finally the context and the idea of being physically violent and finding a sense of dominance over physically violating someone and trying to have them under their control. That is fundamentally why this is starting with. And by it starts off with animals, but then by and by, as they feel more and more comfortable, as they feel that they have achieved a certain dominance over animals, they move on to the spouse, they move on to the children, they move on to other human beings in and around their life. So this is a very sad, very scary situation which humanity is in right now, where animals are more or less becoming something of a playground and building ground for them to become killers, to become domestic terrorists in their areas, and finally, fundamentally becoming very dangerous not only to themselves but to society and to animal species, to the whole world at large. A study conducted by the Northeastern University at the Massachusetts SPCA in the US found that people who abuse animals are 5 times more likely to commit violent crimes against humans. Behavioral profiles of criminals by the FBI have consistently shown that many serial murderers and rapists have abused animals in their childhood. Numerous studies have also shown that up to half of all many notorious killers, including Mary Bell, Robert Thompson, and John Venables, as well as serial murderers Ian Huntley, Thomas Hamilton, Fred West, Dennis Nilsson, Ian Bradley, Ruel Moat, all started out by deliberately harming animals. So, as you can see, whether you abuse animals, you abuse people, the underlying current is violence. And it is the violence, continuous violence from the childhood, reiterating that to your brain again and again and again. The violence that finally humans are unable to contain within themselves, they have to go all out and they start harming everything in their path. So unfortunately, what is happening with pets is they are being the first victims to anyone who has this subtle urge, who has a sense of wanting to feel dominant, or for whatever reason it may be. But they are the first victims to face this, to face the onslaught of people's sickness and people's violent tendencies. The crimes of the dairy farm. Much like humans, cows have strong maternal instincts, but a mother's bond with her calf has no place on dairy factory farms. Shortly after birth, calves are dragged away from their mother, never to be seen again. A cow will have to go through this painful process every year of her life. The milk she produces for her calf is instead taken from her and sold to consumers. So here are some of the crimes which are happening in the US dairy farms, and I'm pretty sure which is happening on other parts of the world as well. And how if we take the human life cycle, how the process of a woman getting impregnated, and then she raising the child from inside the womb and then outside the womb, feeding the child, growing them up, grooming them, breeding them. This is the natural human life cycle, and cows more or less have a very similar life cycle to humans. And so imagine if a mother was forcefully made to be impregnated, and then after being impregnated forcefully, having the child taken away from her from day one, and having the child to be given synthetic milk instead of the mother's natural milk, which was created just for that baby, and taking that milk instead and going and selling it for money for consumers. This is the crime happening in dairy farms. They are not treated as another life, but they are treated as a thing, as something which is just a commodity, as they themselves say, which is something created for the sole purpose of money creation. It is not created for, they are not even considered as a living entity. So that is the most saddest part about dairy farms. And it is not just about dairy farms. In Hinduism, we respect cows itself as God, as the embodiment of God, as the embodiment of nature. And every day, even in the Nithyananda Sangha, Nithyananda Devasthanam, every day we have the mother worship in the form of cow. We do the go puja every single day. And so the one extent to where the cows are being worshipped, and the other extent to where they are not even considered as a living entity. This is the unfortunate situation of humanity today. After being torn away from their mothers, calves will spend much of their lives in extreme confinement. In fact, most will spend the first 2 to 3 months of life confined in lonely, barren hutches, fed a diet of milk replacer, while humans drink the milk intended for them. As we shared previously, they are not considered as an independent life. Everything that is happening to them here on is only for the sole purpose of breeding them to one day give milk, or to be to be killed and sold off as beef. Over 90% of US dairy cows are confined in the primarily indoor operations, with more than 60% of them tethered by the neck inside barren stalls, unable to perform even the most basic behaviors essentials for their well-being. So the best way to visualize this is to visualize yourself or visualize people who you know being put in such a situation where they're separated from the young ones, they're pretty much imprisoned for the whole life, be it the mother or be it the baby. They're pretty much imprisoned for their whole life and unable to perform even the basic behavior essentials. I'm just at a loss for words here. To what extent, for the sake of greed, will humanity go down to fulfill the consumeristic principles, to fulfill the consumeristic lifestyle, and to compensate that on other life? Even to think about it is so horrible. So imagine what is the inner space of those who are conducting out this process completely. Moving on. Painful mutilations. As cows get older, they undergo a series of painful mutilations. Branding. Workers heat iron bars in open fires and burn the flesh of young cows. These untreated wounds are ripe for infection. Dehorning. To remove animals' horns, workers cut them out and burn off delicate tissue. A cow's horns are full of blood and hypersensitive nerve endings, but this is done without any anesthesia. Tail talking. Another common practice is for cows to have their tails removed. They will either be cut off with shears, or in some instances, workers will wrap wire or rubber bands around the tail. Again, painfully showing how cows are treated in dairy farms, and these are not treated for for the sake of any experiment or for the sake of a group of people. These are treated for the sake of the rest of humanity, so the rest of humanity can enjoy the milk provided for the cow. The rest of humanity can enjoy the meat for which the cow is killed for. So this isn't happening for any separate person. This isn't happening in some, some secular area in some remote part of the world where they are conducting crimes against cows. These are happening in legalized, so-called legalized by the state factories, where they are made for the mainstream consumers. They are made for all of you to have milk and have beef in your house every single day, and it is for that purpose all of these crimes are happening. So pretty much you are the cause for so many cows being suffocated every day, for so many cows facing whatever they're going through just for the sake of you to have a snack or for you to have a cup of milk. Fundamentally, humans are the criminals in this world, not anyone else. Moving on. Brutally killing. Cows in the dairy industry face the same fate as those in the meat industry. They are killed when their milk production declines. No cow is allowed to live out the natural lifespan of up to 25 years. In fact, 20% of the beef sold in stores comes from cows who are exploited by the dairy industry. After being transported long distances, cows are forced into stun boxes. Inside these chambers, they are shot in the head, a process meant to render them unconscious. However, many are still conscious when they have their throats slit. So you can see the painful process in which cows are mistreated to, and how no one is, even though these facts are known out, no one is there to stop, no one is there to speak out for them, no one is there to put an end to their atrocities. And fundamentally, it is not even their complete fault. It is the fault and the demand of the consumeristic lifestyle, which is again and again pushing industries, pushing pharmaceuticals, pushing everyone else in the world to provide for consumers this this which they are forced to go to this extent to uh, to do what they are doing. And it is a fault from all sides, basically, be it the consumers or be it people who are providing for the consumers. Neither are taking a stance to back down, but only more and more pushing themselves to an extent where trying to go as much farther as they can and trying to see who will break first. That is pretty much just a race running between two people to see who will break first, whether people will get tired of eating beef, or whether the beef industry will get short staffed to supply the beef. Either way, it is the most disgusting thing happening on this planet, where consumers are continuously asking and these people are continuously providing. So I have actually no more words to describe these atrocities which are happening right now. Here we have a small video. Swamiji himself on animal cruelty and the initiatives Kailasa is taking for the sake of protecting animals and the cruelty done on them. Please stay tuned.
The next, blue Om. The blue Om will be working for animal rights. We human beings need to know planet Earth does not belong to only human beings. We have no right to eliminate life. We have no right to kill animals for any purpose, for any reason. No right to kill any life. So the blue Om, under this organization Blue Om, we will start working for animal rights. Understand? Kailasa and Kailasians were providing services various ways throughout the world under various banners, under various organizations. The White Om will be working to provide psychological healing, emotional healing, spiritual counseling, and superconscious breakthrough. The sixth organization, Yellow Om, will be providing yogic, Ayurvedic solutions and medical care to the whole world in need. Whoever is in need, the Hindu yogic sciences based, Hindu medicine science based, knowledge assistance and even medicinal assistance, training, all of it will be provided under the organization Yellow Om. Why yellow? For training and teaching. Guru's color is yellow. Guru, Deva Guru, Brihaspati, his color is yellow. So, to celebrate Deva Guru, Brihaspati, under the Yellow Om, we will be providing all the knowledge related services, including creating libraries, access to libraries to the whole world, and people who are in need of knowledge. All our activities providing knowledge, all will be done under Yellow Om.
Yes, beautifully Swamiji shared that Kailasa is taking the stance and not allowing further any more animals to be abused. And very clearly, Swamiji himself has told humans have no right to kill animals. Humans have no right to kill another life, be it animals or be it anyone else. Humans do not have that right to kill. So, moving on, the various contributions being offered by Kailasa for the sake of humanity, for the sake of animals and protecting animal rights. Kailasa's Department of Environment and Animals, the concerning body for protection of animals, forests, and the ocean, by establishing lifestyles with zero impact on the environment and promoting the right for all living beings to live and achieve enlightenment. The department seeks to ensure that Sri Kailasa contributes towards a growing and more healthy planet Earth. Kailasa's Uniting Nations for Animal Rights. Kailasa Uniting Nations for Animal Rights is the extension of the protection accorded by Paramashiva to all his beings, extended by His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam in USA in 2004 as an NGO serving for the cause and welfare of all beings. Kailasa's Go Mandir project envisioned restoration, reverence, and cultural importance of cows as Mata, raised cows, status to Mandir, and is addressed as the Nithyananda Gau Mandir. Nithyananda Gau Mandir, a Goshala established of bringing back the glory of Desi breeds of cows of Bharat, bred and developed by our great rishis of Vedic era to nourish and serve the ritual needs. Swamiji has stressed about the importance of cows, their smell, the power of Godhuli, addressed cow as Go Mata, mother, next to biological mother who gave birth and deserves the same respect. He has been campaigning the vegetarian lifestyle for the planet against the greedy, violent factory farming and is bringing back the glorious agrarian based society of Vedic era of Bharat. Nityananda Gomandir project is maintained by the funds raised as donations from Godan, Goseva, Nitya Go Puja, offerings from Sarvagnya Pita. So, Swamiji has envisioned 5,000 Desi cows in the Nityananda Goshala and showcasing to the world as the best Goshala and a place for the happiest cows kept as per the Veda Agamic instructions. Milk from the Desi cows are used for rituals and Abhishekam of Sri Nityanandeshwara Paramashiva in the Devalayam and consumed by Gurukul and Annalaya in the Bengaluru Adinam. So now that we have seen all these different and various facts, as a part of the revival of the Kailasa nation and Hinduism, Swamiji has introduced the Vakyasatas to all of us, an important aspect unique only to Hinduism. And the Vakyasatas is not just for us to have deeper truths into the powerful cognitions, but also help in building the foundation of the Kailasa nation. The Vakyasatas is a part of a four-step process which is laid out in our Vedas and in our Agamas, which is needed to imbibe any powerful cognition and thought current. So, what is the four-step process? The four-step process starts with Shravana, listening to the truth from the Guru. So, this actually is very similar to Shravana is very similar to when you listen to a truth from the master. It goes inside you, it sits inside you, and that's all that happens. It sits inside you like undigested food. And until the process of digestion happens, the food which you have eaten is pretty much useless. It's the same way with spiritual truths with powerful cognitions. Until the digestion process happens, the truths are pretty much useless. And so Shravana is only the first 25% of the 100%. And without the rest of the 75%, having only 1% of the 25% is not at all helpful for yourself or helpful for anyone else as well. The second step, the manana, contemplation and internalization of the truth. So manana, as it's mentioned, is contemplating about these truths within yourself, inside yourself, trying to come to the subtler and subtle understandings by contemplation. The third step of the Vakyasatas process is where the Kandana and Mandana of your logic happens. So what does Khandana and Mandana mean? Khandana means the breaking of your existing logic, the breaking of your existing binary logic, and allowing that logic to expand and to become the multidimensional logic of the cosmos. So Vakyadasiddhis is where the cognition shift takes place and where your binary logic transforms and becomes the multidimensional logic. Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is where you live these great truths. How much ever you may listen to the master, how much ever you may contemplate, how much ever you may do the Vakyatasatas, you may do the debate and discussion, unless you live these principles in your lifestyle, the whole purpose of why you do the other steps will not be fulfilled. Coming to the topic of today's Vakyasatas, why has animal cruelty gone to such an extent in modern times? How is Hinduism the only solution to put a stop on animal cruelty? So this is the question which is placed before us for the Vakyasatas. Before we enter directly into the Vakyasatas, we have a few devotees joining us from different parts of the world. We have Murliyaya, who is joining us from Chennai, India. Nithyanandamaya, thank you so much for coming today and being a part of today's Vakyasatas. So along with myself, Nithyananda Maharaj, Mulaya Yesaya. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves for our viewers before we continue with the Vakyasatas. My name is Sri Nithyananda Maharaj and I'm a Bal Sant of the Nithyananda Gurukul. I joined the Nithyananda Gurukul back in 2012. And prior to joining the Nithyananda Gurukul, I was born and brought up in the United States. So reviving Hinduism, all this is not something which is something which has been with me since I was a boy, and seeing my father and seeing his efforts in protecting Hinduism, and how Hinduism is not something which needs to be in social media and outside you just preach to everyone that Hinduism needs to be revived. It is something which you need to start practicing in your everyday life. You need to, in your house, you need to practice Hinduism. Only then when you tell others it makes sense. So at the time when my father introduced all this to me, I was very I disregarded him and I pushed myself away from him. I was kind of embarrassed to have him as my father, as he was very much different from all the other people I met, from all the other all my friends and all their fathers as well. And it was only after coming here to Gurukul, after coming here to Swamiji, I understood. Swamiji gave me the right context of why Hinduism needs to be revived and why it is not just something which you speak out in words, but something which we need to follow in our daily lifestyle. Only if we are practicing Hindu, only then we can even ask other people to be practicing Hindus. Only after Swamiji had given me this cognition shift, only then I actually even had completion with my dad, and I understood from which space he was coming from. And it is because of Swamiji, me and my dad have the relationship which we are having right now. So this is a little bit about me. I also have Murliyaya, Nithyanandamaya. Please go ahead and introduce yourself for the rest of our audience for today's Vakyasatas. Please go ahead, Aya.
Thank you, Maharaj. Murali from Chennai here. I've been with Swamiji from 2013. The first program that I attended was one 21-day program, meditation program called Inner Awakening, which Swamiji used to conduct back to back those days. When I came to Swamiji, actually, I was very full of myself, to say. Like, I thought that there's nothing that a sannyasi can teach me who has never seen me at all, and why should I even share anything, any personal ideas and all? Why should I talk to him about everything personal about me to him, to a stranger? What will he know about how to guide my life? That is the kind of mindset I had, and it is only after coming here I realized that it was stupid, so to say the least, about how my mindset. Like, it is nothing that I can ever hide from such a being. He sees my whole life, even when he just glimpses at me. So my ego actually got deflated, got shrunk everything a good deal, and he made me realize. Swamiji made me realize that I was coming from such a very narrow, shallow, hollow context, and the way I was judging people in situations was utterly silly, and to make people Actually, I was condescending. I thought I was being very straight, but actually now I realize I was being very condescending towards them. And after that, following that, or even before the program itself started, I should say, miracle happened. Like I didn't realize that it was a miracle back then, but I can share that now. See, actually, I used to so-called plan my schedule. The program starts in the morning as early as 6. If that is so, then I'll have to wake up at 4 or something, and then bathe and get ready and all that, because there are so many people here. If I have to wake up at 4, then I have to sleep. I will go to bed by 9:30 or 10 latest, not any later than that. So I used to plan like that. And then I told myself that I'll be very too tired because of a long journey from here to Adi Kailash. So, but surprisingly, when I entered the campus, I hardly felt any tiredness, and that itself was really really making me angry. How come I'm not so tired even after such a long journey? And that is the beginning of my logic getting broken, and from then on started the breaking of logic as a cascading effect from the being with Swamiji. Lot of clicks in life have happened. For a person who was totally directionless and was so arrogant, Swamiji made me understand many things, and the way he penetrated my ego was really wonderful. Because at some point of time, I started missing Swamiji when he went to backstage, and missing him, Swamiji, when I actually slept for the night. So I ended up loving him. I ended up, and the love continues only and only intensifies from there on. A lot of miracles have happened, physical miracles have happened, and that is actually endearing me to him all the more. It's a very nice journey from since then with Swamiji. And what this experience is, what this relationship is actually to be experienced, it has nothing to do with any material gains. It's a very sweet thing. Getting to know many things have been really wonderful. And the more we know about ourselves, the deeper we dig within ourselves, it's only wonderful. And Swamiji actually during the dinner when he made one statement, maybe he would have just said it once in a host of speeches that he had made. But that one statement I think is a very profound one. I was introduced to a new you. I was introduced to a new Murali. So that was very nice. And when he explains, when he shows us how new possibilities can manifest through this being, through this body and mind, it's a very pleasant experience. It's a very joyful experience to realize all that. So let me elaborate further in answer to some actual Vakyas, others is discussion questions or points which Maharaj or somebody else makes. So as of now, thank you for the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So coming back to the question of today's Vakya Sadas, why has animal cruelty gone to such an extent in modern times? How is Hinduism the only solution to put a stop on animal cruelty? So my initial take and the point I would like to bring out here is because Hinduism was not a mainstream lifestyle and it was not the solution any people used in their life, animal cruelty has gone to the extent which it has gone to today. Fundamentally, the problem is not with animals or how animals are treated or something directly to do with animals. Unfortunately, it is just animals were the people who were a scapegoat for people's violent tendencies. It was the scapegoat for people who wanted to find power over something, and animals were the easiest target for them. So this isn't just not necessarily the fault of the animals or something which has to do with animals directly, but with something which has to do with the mental setup of society. And it is because Hinduism, what is the fundamental cognition in Hinduism? What is fundamentally, when you say Hinduism, what does it mean? The very definition of Hinduism has the taste of oneness. And even when you speak about Hinduism as a religion, Hinduism is the only religion which accepts so many number of gods. Is the only religion which encompasses of other religions as well: Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and so on. So even in this sense, if you see, Hinduism is something which is has that flavor of oneness. And unfortunately, because this flavor of oneness was not given in every other aspect, it was not given in the consumeristic aspect, and people did not take up Hinduism as a mainstream lifestyle. We are not asking to take up Hinduism as a religion, but at least take it up as a mainstream lifestyle. Because that did not happen, animal cruelty has gone to the extent it has gone to today. And so this is my initial take on this question. Yeah, you can go ahead and share your initial take on today's question. Please go ahead, Aya.
See, my initial take, I don't know where to start, to be very frank. If I actually analyze my non-vegetarian friends, I will say that the way they talk about that, they are more interested in actually satisfying their taste buds rather than anything else. They don't consider any other point. They want to satisfy their taste buds. They tell me, like, see, you are born in a vegetarian family, so you don't know what that taste is. Don't talk to me. Don't advise me as though you have experienced it and now you have renounced it. You don't even know what it is. You don't know how tasty it is, and so you have not done any big sacrifices. What they say, and that one point is true. I've never tasted non-veg, so I don't know how tasty it is and what it is to give up that. But still, I wouldn't say that that is any reason or excuse for opting for non-veg lifestyle. And I have some of my students telling me that their doctors have prescribed non-veg food. That is really surprising for me. I want to know which doctor prescribes non-veg food. Maybe they would have said yes to some what like they would have said, okay, egg contains this nutrition and some fish contains this nutrition. Maybe they would have acknowledged some nutrient part being available in some non-veg food. But is there any doctor who really prescribes non-veg food? That is news to me. But many of my students say that yes, doctors do prescribe non-veg food. So I think doctors should be first educated about. They should be counseled or they should be talked to and they should be talked out of non-veg lifestyle. Then we can make something. This is my initial take. I'll elaborate further in another instance. Thank you.
So actually, yeah, when you're bringing about the topic of doctors now, it takes me back to the discussion which we had regarding the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry, how they both are going hand in hand, one to make the other person sick and the other one to keep them continuously sick. So overall, doctors may themselves not be as a part of their prescription to tell people to consume non-vegetarian food, but it must be actually a part of a larger scheme where they are encouraged to tell people to take non-vegetarian food. And like you say, fish contains certain amount of nutrients, egg contains a certain amount of nutrients, and using those one or two three basic facts, trying to say to eat non-vegetarian as a whole, basically. So then what happens? If more non-vegetarian food is consumed, then the more business the dairy industry, the non-vegetarian industry, the more money they'll get, the more sick they'll become. So the more income and more revenue for the drug industry, the pharmaceutical industry as well. And it's just a continuous loop. So basically what doctors are doing is they are just contributing by keeping this loop alive by recommending to the patients to continue eating the same thing which is making you sick. And by doing that, you are not only providing business for me, you are providing business for the non-vegetarian people as well. So this is overall exploiting the consumeristic mentality, exploiting the consumeristic lifestyle, and giving people something which will only satisfy their taste buds, as you shared, Aya, but not allowing them to live life completely, not allowing them to live a blissful and healthy life. This is more than just beyond spiritual reasons. This is now this is more like a moral problem, something which is directly killing human beings. Human beings are encouraged to consume food which is directly killing them, which is directly causing them to again and again visit the hospital every week or maybe even every single day. And this is the unfortunate state which humanity is in right now. And Aya, why do you think Hinduism is the only solution to putting a stop to animal cruelty?
Now, as an extension of my knowledge and awareness, I will say I will actually agree with what you are saying because uh, they don't know. Many people, non-vegetarianism. See, there are many people out there. In fact, the people who don't know, I think, is very, very minimalistic as far as my perception goes. Many people think that being vegetarian means being Brahmin. And they also pride in saying that even Brahmins have become non-vegetarians. Now, I do have some of my friends, I do have some of my students who are not Brahmin by birth, but are vegetarian by lifestyle, by lineage, or whatever it is. But they are very, very minuscule. And these people actually who opt for non-veg food, and as Maharaj said, they don't know what is mainstream Hinduism, and it is nothing to do with morals. Moral is only one small aspect of it, and it is not a ultimate thing that we are advocating. Why we are moving away? See, they tell me when they look at me, when they look at it, when I say that it actually it's a healthier way of lifestyle and all that, so it will help you live longer. They actually switch me off. They say that, okay, what are you going to do by living for so many years? Let me enjoy. So it comes back to the same thing about the satisfying taste buds. They're saying, even if I live only for 30 years, 40 years, let me enjoy till then. I'm not looking to live till 100. So it's all, but their very taste is very shallow. They have taste for shallow things. They have shallow. They have taste for little pleasures, smaller pleasures, and short-lived pleasures. They don't want anything long-lasting. They are not looking to understand why we are saying what they are saying. And they don't understand how it spoils their system. That's the problem. They don't understand where. And another thing, if I saw some videos in Facebook about the what is happening in the background of KFC, how these people who are actually they are literally jumping on the chicken. They are jumping on the chicken. The chicken is just made to protrude its beak through some narrow edifice, and they have a thing that is plucking out their beak. It's so horrible to look at that bird dying like that. And the beakless bird is actually stamped upon by these people, and that is how the chicken itself is prepared for food as a food thing on the plate. So I have a feeling, or maybe even a hope, or a hopeless hope, I can say, like if the people, the non-veg food lovers, are made to see these things. See, the food that you have on the plate is because of this process. I think then the taste for that will come down. The need for having those on the plate will come down. Are they being subjected to such cruelty? Do I need that cruelty? Do I need to be so cruel to enjoy this food? I think some people will change, is what I feel. Because I have one of my friends who's actually, I think, see, as a community, when I look at the lineage of his community, I think they are non-vegetarians. Of course, in the sense, anyway, Hinduism was once upon a time, everybody was vegetarian, but I'm talking about the community in the, let us say, in the past decade or something, they have become non-vegetarian. So but this person whom I'm now thinking of, he says, why should I kill another life to fulfill my stomach? This person actually asks me this. And I'm very happy for that. He's not a Brahmin, but still he asks me, why should I kill another life to fulfill my desire? I can actually fulfill my hunger without killing another life. So this value system, not many people have. And Swamiji says, like, he is not looking at the moral aspect at all. He's looking at only the scientific aspect. In the sense, like, there are many non-veg lovers asking me, even plant is life. See, scientifically, plant grows faster than any animal. You can replace a cut plant, then you can grow an animal to the before you are able to consume it. So it is a quicker way of replenishing nature. So Hinduism by nature is less or totally non-violent. So that the scripture itself says that you devise your food methods by which you cause the least harm. That is a statement of the I think some Upanishad. You eat by which you cause the least harm. So notice that it doesn't say least harm to yourself, least harm to an animal or something like it. It stops it saying least harm. Means what? You can survive without eating any non-veg. You can see. I tell all my non-veg loving food friends and students that no nutrition is available for you by which you will survive eating only that. No non-veg nutrition is a survival need for you. Keep that in mind. Okay, fish has that nutrition. Okay, egg has that nutrition. Okay, some animal beef has that nutrition. I'm not denying that. But it is not a survival need. Now, if you think in that micro level, I think you will have to rethink your idea about what is a good food for you. So that is not happening. Even the doctors who prescribe this non-veg food for people, I want to ask that whole fraternity only this: which nutrition from which animal is a survival need for humans? And Swamiji says we take plant. See, one thing scientifically we replace plants more easily than we replace dead animals for our food. Another thing at the spiritual level, at the Hinduism spiritual level, Swamiji says plants don't have any central nervous system by which it stores pain. So that way you are causing less pain. Yes, you are killing a life, but you are not causing any pain. And pain is not only what you see on the surface. You see an animal getting killed, you see an animal, the beak getting plucked for a bird, or that scorching of the cows, or all these things happen, and you see the animals shouting in pain. You don't see the animals doing that, yes, but that doesn't mean but it is not only the pain that you see that matters. So that's what I want to say. So it is not the pain that you see, it's all about the pain that you know that is happening. So when plants don't have a central nervous system, there is no pain involved. This we must understand. And one more thing which I'll say, okay, let me abuse even. It's a stupid argument people come across, which is, what about milk? I take egg, don't you take milk? Milk is not non-veg. And we Hindus take cow milk, not plucking, not grabbing, snatching the milk that was meant for the calf. We first feed the calf, and only when the calf is satisfied, only when the cow is happy and the calf is happy, both of them are happy together, only the excess is taken by the practicing Hindus. This we must realize. We don't snatch the milk meant for the calf. It is the calf that is fed first. And we never separate the calf and the cow. So it is given the right time, it is given the nutrition food, it is given the dry grass, nutritious food first. It is fed to its satisfaction. The calf the calf and the cow are happily living together. Only after the calf has had its share, whatever only remains, we take, however little that is. So that is what we practicing Hindus do. So these non-veg food lovers must understand. First thing, they are taking food meant for the young ones. Then another thing they should understand, they are actually killing cruelly. Another form of cruelty also exists, more than what Maharaj had shared in the initial clipping. They are skinned alive for leather products, for shoes, purses, and all that. Why do you need even that? You can always carry money in your pocket. Why do you need a leather purse for having your money? It's not necessary. And another thing, shoes are not necessary for any school. You can always have a rubber slipper for uniform. There's no need for that. But if I say this, I'm sure many people will even laugh at me. But I want to say this: there is no need for any shoe to be made and formal dress. Where is the need for this formal dress? This formal way of dressing warrants this shoe, warrants wearing this shoe. See, formal dress is what devised by these invaders, Westerners. Only what we wear, what we do, call ourselves as formal dress is a formal dress. There's no written rule like that. If we make this shoe, this type of shoe or this type of footwear as formal, we understand as formal among ourselves. That's more than enough. There's no need for a shoe. So if you don't feel the need for a shoe, then there's no need for leather products or animal products. So these things need to be kept in mind. It's not for the taste. It's not. So the more you change your way of life, that's why even in the ashram, I love that we have cotton bags instead of purses for carrying money, vibhuti, or whatever these ashramites carry. I've seen I used to wonder if they don't wear pant, if they don't wear, then how will they store their money? Then I noticed that Swamiji has introduced this idea of cotton bag. That's very sweet. That's more convenient to handle it because it is larger in size. It can handle more things. It's a nice thing. So this is the way we can become less violent towards animals. If you keep these points in mind, I think we can become less violent towards animals. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you for sharing a lot from your experience, actually, which you personally had to deal with in regard to your non-vegetarian associates and your friends and so on. So actually basically we've gone over the last aspect of today's presentation, which were speaking about the crimes which are happening against the dairy farms and the crimes which are happening against animals for the sake of people who just want them to have it for one meal or for a snack. The amount of pain and suffering a being has to go through. So this is actually the second part of today's presentation. The first part of today's presentation was about animal cruelty, the organized animal cruelty for the sake of entertainment and for the sake of having a sense of dominance over animals rather than having them for the sake of food. So when we're looking at animal cruelty, we're looking at three different aspects here. We're looking at the first aspect of animal cruelty for the sake of entertainment, animal cruelty for the sake of psychological and emotional fulfillment, and animal cruelty for the sake of food, for the sake of snacks. So in these three aspects, we've gone over pretty much the third aspect, the animal cruelty for the sake of food and for the sake of snacks. Now, the first aspect, animal cruelty done for the sake of entertainment, the dog fights and cock fights which are happening, and which, even though many places there have been, at least on paper, laws have been put, many places. In many states, in US at least, many states they have laws which specifically ban dog fighting and cock fighting. The very sad part is it is the police stations which partake in the cock fights and dog fights as well. So it is not just among certain people in certain rings and certain gangs. The police themselves partake in all of this. So when the judiciary body, when the body which is supposed to be implementing and protecting the law, when they themselves have no respect for the law, when it comes to dog fights and when it comes to animal cruelty, then where as a nation, where are they going to protect animal rights?
See,
so yeah,
I actually forgot
this.
I didn't notice this dimension till you actually so specifically brought it out. Sorry for that. See, the first thing, animal cruelty. Initially, there were days when in our younger days, we used to notice something called circus, where we saw this elephants, tigers, and lions, and all that being tamed, and they used to perform some tricks on the stage, and there used to be a huge people of audience applauding for all that. And the circus man, he used to pride in saying that, let me even put my head inside the mouth of the lion and come out unharmed. So these are the tricks which I've seen in my younger days in circuses show. This is one form of cruelty. See, at the surface, it might seem not there might not appear any cruelty. The thing is, what is happening in the background? What exactly has happened to the lion for it to not harm this circus owner? It is not as though the lion is enlightened and it is having oneness with the circus owner or something. So it has been trained to behave the way it is behaving on the stage. And that training, it's a very it is not done with so much love and care, made to live in its original environment, habitat, ambience, and talked to very sweetly, kindly to behave the way it behaves. It is actually given electric shock, or it is starved and caned to behave the way it does, so that its natural instincts are curbed. It is not consciously not harming the circus owner. It's actually tamed and forced to behave the way it does. Because if it doesn't behave the way it is doing on the stage in front of the audience, then it will be given one more shock, electric shock, or it will be caned, or it will be scorched with iron rods. So such cruelty had actually made the animals behave the way they do. This is one thing. Another thing, this cockfight, dogfight, which I was talking about, I don't know about US, but here in India, in villages, maybe today, because I don't know, I've never visited villages, but from what they say in movies, what they show in movies, I'm saying, it is to do with the status of one community versus another. If one two cocks fight, two goats fight, and each one goat will belong to a different community, and if one goat wins over another goat, this community is supposed to have one over the other, and this community will dominate the other, and this community will be a slave to the other for in whatever way. Like they will have to wash this fellow's clothes, or this fellow has to work as a servant in that house, something like that. So it's about the community. I think it is ridiculous. The whole thing is very ridiculous. Why do you want to project your community fight on that innocent animals? The whole thing is, and this is glorified. That is what is even more painful. The way this is shown, it is not shown as this idea of goat fighting or cock fighting. It is not shown as this cruelty exists in this village. This is because of ignorance, and this is not a helping thing to happen. It is not shown in that context. It is shown. It is glorified. One community having a fight against another community, one community dominating another community, and they are trying to fight each other. The whole thing is glorified, and it is ultimately what happens when one person kills another person. Somebody is taken to jail. Nothing is shown about this being wrong against animals. So these movies also need to be stopped if we want to understand the cruelty done to animals. These scenes or this type of movies itself should be stopped. This is one more way in which I think cruelty against animals is glorified, and this needs to stop. And because this is also entertainment. And see, maybe in a person like me who was born and brought up in a city may not understand its intensity. It may not have any impact on me, because in my way of life, I am not breeding any goat, I am not breeding any sheep or hen or whatever it is. I'm not breeding anything. I do have pet animals, but I'm not pitting a fight against my pet and another pet. But this will have a very serious impact in the non-veg rustic background, and it will instigate that uneducated mind to try out these things with people who they can oppress. An upper caste person, or people who has more power, who has got more political clout, political background, to try the same thing against a not so powerful person, innocent person, and express his dominance over the other community or other person. So it will instigate, it will send wrong signals in that setup, and we don't want to encourage that. So in that sense, I think even movies like this should be stopped. I think circus is out of fashion today, or at least I don't see many these days. I mean, animals showing circus. I mean, human circus, I think, still is there, but animals showing circus is not there these days, at least. And even these movies, which actually glorify animal violence among different communities, or even any violence, any animal-related violence, I think, need to be stopped, and some awareness be brought about this also. And I think Swamiji is doing an excellent job, because see, the very idea of Gau Mandir, I'm seeing how well grown how really well fed that Swamiji's cows are, as compared to some other cows or oxen that I see on the road. They are so bony, and even the people who actually who want to move that cow from the middle of the road, because the traffic flow is being obstructed, they actually resort to uh, beating the cow with logs. I'm very pained to see all these things. If you want to drive the cow away from your road on the main road, you can always tap them with your bare hands, and it's sensible enough to understand what you are trying to say. You needn't cane them. You needn't beat them with logs to do that. I've seen cows actually shedding tears. It's really very painful, and I'm just not for all these things. So thanks to Swamiji for bringing this dimension of non-violence in Hinduism in the form of Kailasa. Let us all support it and manifest it and flourish it. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes, yeah. So, sharing my initial take about this aspect. Fundamentally, if one, the consumeristic lifestyle needs to be dropped, that has to be dropped. Only then animals are going to be saved from factories and from factory farms from the consumeristic lifestyle. Only if the consumeristic lifestyle is dropped, that can happen. A second part is basically the whole world needs to embrace Hinduism. Only when you can, only when you can love yourself, only then you'll be able to love any other being, any other part, any other anything outside yourself. But that has to start with you loving yourself inside. Sorry for the technical glitch. So fundamentally, unless you love yourself, you will not be able to, you will not even have the sensitivity to recognize something external. There's something external to you, there's something else living apart from you. Only then the self-centeredness and your selfishness will drop. So fundamentally, for this, the whole world needs to embrace Hinduism, because this isn't something which we hold as a big achievement in Hinduism. This is something which is the fundamental of Hinduism. The whole Hinduism is based off of this one principle, that everything is oneness, everything is unique, everything is life, everything is not dead matter. Even what science calls as dead matter, Hinduism calls it as life. Rocks have life, water bodies has life. What science calls as dead is considered as life, is worshipped in Hinduism. So fundamentally, if Hinduism is embraced as a whole, if whole society, even if they do not, if they feel uncomfortable changing to the religion of Hinduism, that is completely fine. We do not force conversion on anyone. We do not force anything on anyone. We are just asking everyone to be have open-mindedness towards this lifestyle and embrace Hinduism as a lifestyle rather than religion. Unfortunately, when you go and start preaching Hinduism, we start looking like another one of the Christian missionaries or someone who are trying to force our religion on someone else. And that is not what we are, and that is not what we want also. We just want everyone to live happily, to give the same space which you would want to be given to yourself. What you want yourself to have, the how you want yourself to be treated, that is the same way we are asking you to treat the rest of the world, be it in around your vicinity or be it somewhere far away. Hinduism is all about life and protecting life, giving the same experience you would want to have, giving that same experience to everyone else and everything else as well. And to have the ultimate and best opening into Hinduism, to have the correct orientation into Hinduism. Another problem which is happening is, in the name of Hinduism, people have diluted Hinduism to such an extent where it's not even called Hinduism anymore. This is actually an interesting fact Swami had brought up. In all the universities, in all the educational institutions where Hinduism is taught, none of the seeds are being taught by a practicing Hindu. All of those seeds are being taught by a third person or a second person who only study Hinduism as a subject, but do not live Hinduism in their day-to-day life. So when Hinduism is being taught by people who do not practice Hinduism in their own life, how are they even eligible for teaching Hinduism? But that is the state in which Hinduism is currently in. But even the Hinduism which is being taught by so-called refined education institutions, they are not even teaching Hinduism. Swamiji, to solve this problem, to give the correct orientation of Hinduism to practicing Hindus, Swamiji has introduced the Paramashivam program, a program which he himself will be conducting next month, and it is ongoing as well. To be a part of the Paramashivam program, you can visit paramashivam.nithyananda.org. And we also have a small video about the Paramashivam program. Please watch the video. Please be enriched. And if you want to enroll yourself in the Paramashivam program, you can visit the link. Paramashivam program is something which should be as a basic thing which should be provided to all of humanity, to every single person. But why it is needed, why a person needs at least not practice Hinduism, but at least recognize it for what it is. So here we have the video for the Paramashivam program. Please enjoy.
The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that.
Yes. So we've almost come to the end of today's Vakya Satas. We almost come to the end of today's discussion. Mulliya, is there anything you would like to share? Any final takeaways you have before we conclude today? Please go ahead, Aya.
If we understand what is Hinduism, then you will be vegetarian automatically. It's nothing to do with which God you pray to. It's not about that. See, if we think through which God or which mother, which parent will allow one of his children or his or her children to kill another of his children for food, then you are done. You're already getting the sense of the whole thing. So when I say Hinduism is non-violence, that is it. Hinduism is non-violence. So think through and you will understand the need for Kailasa. Thank you.
Yes, Aya. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming today and being a part of the Vakya Satas, Aya. It's almost time to conclude now. And welcome Swamiji for the Nitya Satsang, for the invite and reversals to invite Swamiji. Yes, Aya. Thank you so much for coming today and being a part of the Vakya Satas. With this, let's enter into the meditation. Please sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes and bring your awareness into your Ananda Gandha. Visualize Swamiji sitting in your Ananda Gandha as Paramashiva with the 25 heads and 50 hands. Now, allowing the mantra, the Mahavakya mantra, to reverberate throughout the entire body. Start chanting Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
I bless you all. Let you all open all your three eyes and manifest the powers of Mahasadarshiva. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.